Hi Nana. So today we will learn about a new topic known as optical isomerism. Optical isomerism. What is optical isomerism? The isomerism arises when a pair of compounds having same number of atoms of each kind. For example, if you take lactic acid, so this is the structure of lactic acid. One carbon, okay, so it is attached to one COOH group, one CH3 group, one OH group, and one hydrogen. So these four are different groups which are attached to the carbon. Okay, suppose this is the lactic acid. If you see the lactic acid in the mirror, so it appears like this. So now this is the mirror image of lactic acid. Suppose if this is the lactic acid, then this will become the mirror image of lactic acid. Okay, so this pair, this one and this one, so the one compound and this is another compound. Actually this also exists in the nature, and these two are mirror images of each other, right? So now we are talking about these compounds. So when a pair of compounds, that means this pair of compounds, they have same number of atoms of each kind. So they have same number of atoms of each kind. That means they possess same molecular formula and same connectivity of atoms. Same connectivity of atoms means same bonds. Okay, so this carbon is connected to OH. Here also that carbon is connected to OH. The same carbon is connected to hydrogen, methyl group, and COOH group. Here also the same carbon is connected to hydrogen, methyl, and COOH groups. So like this, same connectivity of atoms and different spatial arrangement of atoms. See, so when compared to this compound, in this compound the spatial arrangement of atoms is different. For example, take this OH group. It is attached towards the right side, whereas in this compound the same OH group, it is attached to the left side of the carbon. So like this. So that means same atoms, same number of atoms, same connectivity, but different in spatial arrangement of atoms. So they differ in the spatial arrangement in the space, arrangement of the atoms in the space. Okay, they are non-superimposable mirror images. What type of mirror images? Non-superimposable mirror images. What is the meaning of non-superimposable mirror image? Suppose if I take this compound, if I lift this compound as it is, and if I keep it on this compound, what happens? So one should coincide with on another side. For example, if I take if I take my hands, these two are mirror images to each other. So this one is mirror image to this one, and this one is mirror image to this one. So now these two are mirror images to each other. Okay, so now if I lift this hand and keep it on the other hand, what happens? It is not superimposable. So it is not superimposing on it. Okay, see, these two are said to be mirror images. These two hands are mirror images to each other. Okay, but they cannot superimpose one over the other. Okay, such type of mirror images which cannot coincide one over the other, such type of mirror images are said to be non-superimposable mirror images. So here also these two compounds they are said to be non-superimposable mirror images. So only the non-superimposable mirror images will show such isomerism, optical isomerism. And moreover, they have same physical and chemical properties. The physical and chemical properties of these two are same. Whenever the properties are similar, almost similar, they cannot be almost separable. We cannot separate them. So, whatever the closeness of the properties among the different compounds, okay, the difficulty in separation of those compounds from each other will be that much. Okay. Here optical isomers, they cannot they possess same physical and chemical properties, but they differ in their biological action. So the biological action of this one is different from the biological action of this one. Okay. And one more thing. So this one normally the chemical reaction shown by this one is normally equal to the it is same as the chemical reaction shown by this one, but with a particular type of compound known as optically active compound, their reaction will differ. They differ in their chemical reactions in reacting with optically active compounds. So in rest of the cases, both of the compounds will have same properties. Okay, only with the reaction of optically active compounds, in all other cases both are same. Both have similar, both show similarity in their properties, except their reaction towards the optically active compound. The reaction of one compound, one among the pair with optically active compound is different from the other among the same pair with the optically active compound. Okay, so I will explain you about what is optically active compound and all those things. Okay, right. So that is, what is the meaning of optical isomerism? A pair of compounds, if they possess all these properties, then they are said to be optical isomers, and the phenomenon is said to be optical isomerism. Once again I am repeating. So the isomers arises, okay, which arises when a pair of compounds have same number of atoms of each kind, that means same molecular formula. So instead of this one, I may write same molecular formula. Same molecular formula. Okay, same connectivity of atoms means same connectivity of atoms means, so they form the bonds, chemical bonds in the same way, and different spatial arrangement of atoms, non-superimposable mirror images, and same physical and chemical properties but different in biological action, and their reaction towards the optically active compound is different. So they are different only in case of in the reactions with the optically active compounds. In all other chemical reactions they are same, they show same properties. They show difference in their chemical properties only when they react with the optically active compounds. Okay, right. Now the next one is, so these two are non-superimposable mirror images. So each non-superimposable mirror image, okay, each non-superimposable mirror image structure is called enantiomer. Each non-superimposable mirror image structure is called enantiomer. So this is enantiomer of this one and this is enantiomer of this one. So these two are said to be enantiomeric pairs. Enantiomeric pair, a pair of enantiomers. So enantiomers always possess optical activity. What is the meaning of optical activity? Enantiomers always possess what? Optical activity. What is optical activity? Optical activity, or else optically active. Any substance, remember, any substance that can rotate, okay, that can rotate plane polarized light. Any substance that can rotate plane polarized light. What light? Plane polarized light, PPL, simply PPL, we can abbreviate it as PPL. Okay, is optically active. It is said to be optically active. So what is the meaning of this statement? I will explain you. Any substance that can rotate a plane polarized light, that means PPL, it is said to be optically active. So if the substance can rotate the plane polarized light, then that substance can be said to be optically active, and that substance is said to be having optical activity. So what is the meaning of PPL, plane polarized light? For example, so there is a difference between normal light and plane polarized light. Normal light is unpolarized light. So it is not having a polarity in particular, there is no particular direction polarity. So polarity in all directions. Normal light will have polarity in all directions. For example, so what is light? Light is made up of electromagnetic radiation. Light is nothing but electromagnetic radiation. Normal light. Light is what? Electromagnetic radiation. Light of any kind or any color. Light of any kind or light of any color, it is of electromagnetic radiation only. So that means it contains both electric field as well as magnetic field. Suppose this is the point, or else light ray, let us assume. So it is propagating in this direction. So that means in this direction the light is moving. If the light is passing in this direction, what happens? Actually, this light is made up of so many electric and magnetic fields. See what happens? So this the electric field vector. So what happens? This electric field vector will vibrate like this, or else it may vibrate like this. It may vibrate like this. It may vibrate like this, or else it may vibrate like this, or else like this or like this. So that means, so it keep on vibrating. So in any plane, so in this plane, or else in this plane, or in this plane, or in this plane, so it keep on vibrating. So while traveling, what happens? Or else while propagating, so what happens? It keep on vibrating to and fro, up and down, so front and back. So in this diagonal, so it keep on. The electric field and magnetic field, they keep on vibrating. Okay, so in different planes. Hence, that means this the plane of vibration. These are all what? Different planes where it's the electric and magnetic field will vibrate, and the plane of vibration will be. So here what happens? Suppose if this is the direction of propagation, and this will be the plane of vibration. This will be the plane of vibration, or else this will be the plane of vibration. So like this, keep on vibrating. Okay, the electric as well as magnetic fields will keep on vibrating, but the light will propagate in this direction. The direction of propagation of light and the vibration of the light in the planes. So these two are perpendicular to each other. Okay, so the plane of vibration is perpendicular to the direction of propagation of the light. Okay, such light is said to be normal light, and it is said it is unpolarized, because it is having it vibrates in all different planes. Okay, it vibrates in all different planes. Okay, now if such light is allowed to pass through a certain material, if such light is allowed to pass through a certain material known as polarizer. Okay, if such light is passed through polarizer, what happens? This polarizer contains crystals. Okay, either maybe of calcium, maybe of calcite crystals. Okay, so it is known as nickel prism. Or else may contain tourmaline prism, nickel prism or tourmaline prism. Okay, so here what happens? So this prism is present. So nickel prism or tourmaline prism is present. So this polarizer contain prism, nickel prism, or else nickel prism. It is called as it is made up of material known as calcite. Calcite is nothing but calcium carbonate, CaCO3. So polarizer, it contains crystals of this one, either this material or this material, this prism, nickel prism or this tourmaline prism. Okay, so what happens? What happens when normal light or else ordinary light or else unpolarized light is passed through the polarizer? So this polarizer, so here what happens? This polarizer will filter all the other planes except only for a single plane. So the light which is coming outside, which is leaving this polarizer, or else which is transmitted through the polarizer. So the transmitted light, it contains only a single plane. Okay, the here before that, so the light is vibrating in different planes, in all planes. But here what happened? So after passing this light through normal light through polarizer, so here all different planes are filtered, and except of only for a single plane, the light it is having only vibration in a single plane vibration. Such light which vibrates only in a single plane is said to be plane polarized light. So plane polarized light means the light which can vibrate only in one plane is said to be plane polarized light. So finally plane polarized light is obtained when normal light or ordinary light is passed through polarizer. So now this plane polarized light, so this is called as PPL, plane polarized light. This is what? Normal light or else ordinary light. Ordinary light. So now this plane polarized light, so it will propagate in this direction, so it will move on in this direction. So now when it is allowed to pass through a substance, when it is allowed to pass through a substance which is kept in a glass tube made up of certain length of L, let us assume L decimeter. So the length of this tube should be measured in decimeter. Okay, and in this glass tube, so the sample or else the compound which is to be tested, it is kept in this glass tube, okay, of length L decimeters. So now this is the compound. Now this plane polarized light, so now this plane polarized light is passed through, it is allowed to pass through this compound. It is allowed to pass through this compound. So when it is allowed to pass through this compound, so this compound actually it is having certain concentration C, which is generally grams per milliliter. The concentration, here it is grams per milliliter. The concentration is measured in grams per milliliter. So C is the concentration of the compound in the concentration of the solution in which that compound is present. So what happens? So when plane polarized light is passed through this solution, so three things may happen. Any of the three things may happen. So this plane polarized light, so it come as it is. So it come as it is from come out from the solution as it is. Or else it may come out. It may come out by rotating from its normal actual. This is the light. This is the actual plane. This is its actual plane. But what happened? So here it is deviated, or else it is rotated by an angle theta. It is rotated by an angle theta. So now it is rotated towards the right side, that means clockwise. Or else it may be rotated anti-clockwise by an angle theta. It may be rotated anti-clockwise by an angle theta. So that means any of these three things may happen. When plane polarized light is passed through a compound, okay, so any of these things may happen. One is that light is not getting any effect. It is not affected by this compound. Or else the light it is rotated by this compound by an angle theta, by certain angle theta towards the right side, or else towards the positive clockwise direction. Or else so the light, plane polarized light, may be rotated towards the left side by an angle theta. Okay, so these three things may happen. Any of these three things may happen. Okay, suppose if this compound, uh, if the light is not affected by this compound, then this compound is said to be optically inactive. That means this light is unable to rotate the plane polarized light, hence it is said to be optically inactive. Suppose if this compound is able to rotate the plane polarized light by certain angle, either in clockwise or else in anti-clockwise direction, then that compound is said to be optically active. So that is the difference between optically active and optically inactive. Any substance that can rotate plane polarized light is said to be optically active. Okay, so if that means if the plane polarized light is affected by this compound, then it is said to be then the compound is said to be optically active. If the plane polarized light is not affected, that means it comes out in the way how it enters into the solution. In the same way, if it comes out, that means without any affecting, or else it is not affected by the compound, then that compound is said to be optically inactive compound. Okay, so like this, the difference between optical activity and optically active compound and optically inactive compound can be identified. Suppose if the compound can rotate the plane polarized light towards the right side, then this compound is said to be dextrorotatory. Dextrorotatory. This is important. Dextrorotatory. Dextro means right. Dexter, actually dexter. The meaning dexter means right. So dextrorotatory. So it is denoted with sign plus positive sign, or else it may be denoted with D, small d. Okay, small d, or it may be denoted with plus sign kept in the bracket. Suppose if the plane polarized light it is rotated towards the left side by the compound, then that compound is said to be levorotatory. Levo. That compound is said to be levorotatory. Levorotatory compound. Levo means left. Levo means left. Dextro means right. Dexter. Dexter means right hand. It is related to right. Dexter, right. Dextro, that means right hand. That means the rotation of the plane polarized light towards the right side. Then it is said to be dextro. Dextrorotatory. So that compound is said to be dextrorotatory compound. If the compound rotates the plane polarized light towards the left side, then it is said to be levorotatory compound. So in this way, dextrorotatory, levorotatory compound. So here, which one is dextrorotatory and which one is levorotatory, we cannot identify easily. So this can be known only from the experiments only. Okay, so if one is dextrorotatory, the other one will be levorotatory. So these two are said to be enantiomers to each other. So DL pair, we'll generally call it as DL pair. So while learning our geometrical isomerism, so number of geometrical isomers, we learnt about this DL pair. So here DL pair means one is dextrorotatory and another one is levorotatory. Okay, so like this. So here actually the amount of rotation, it is measured in an instrument known as polarimeter. What is polarimeter? this polarimeter, it measures the optical activity. It measures the optical activity. Optical activity. So that means if angle of rotation, so here actually if angle of rotation is more, then that compound is said to be more optically active. So if the theta value is less, then the compound is said to be less optically active. So the magnitude of optical activity can be measured with the help of polarimeter. And one more thing, so here this theta is said to be angle of rotation. The angle of rotation, it varies with the length of the tube and also the concentration of the substance. Concentration of the substance that compound, and also it depends upon several factors like temperature, pressure, etc. So it varies even for a single compound also, even for the same compound the theta value varies. It is not a constant. So in that case we need to go with the specific rotation. So what is theta? Angle of rotation. Theta is nothing but angle of rotation. So then specific rotation we have to measure, because angle of rotation is not same. It varies from with the amount of it varies with the concentration of the solution. It varies with the length of the tube taken. It varies with the temperature and so on. So in order to give a fixed value, then we have to calculate a specific rotation. Specific rotation. Specific rotation, generally it is denoted with alpha. Specific rotation is equal to angle of rotation by length of the tube into concentration of the solution. See, for pure solutions we have to take for the compound taken in solution form, so we have to use this formula. So what is alpha? Alpha is nothing but specific rotation. So theta is said to be observed rotation. So this is observed rotation, but it varies with the concentration of the substance, the same substance, and with the length of the tube also the theta value will vary. So that is why, so we have to take this value. If you calculate this value, then it will be fixed. It will be fixed because here we are considering the length and concentration also while calculating this specific rotation. Okay, hence specific rotation value will be a fixed value, whereas normal ordinary rotation, so observed rotation theta, so it is not a fixed value. So that means the amount of rotation is not constant, it depends upon the concentration, length. So here the amount of rotation depends upon concentration, length, temperature. What are the factors on which this specific rotation depends? So it is calculated based on the length of the tube. So rotation. So this amount of rotation is not a constant. So it depends upon what? It depends upon theta, that means observed rotation. It depends upon length of the tube, it is depends upon the concentration of the solution. It depends upon the temperature, depends upon the pressure, it depends upon the pressure, and also it depends upon the wavelength of the light used. So here this light which we have used, so it is of different wavelengths, it may be of different wavelengths. So here depending upon the wavelength of the light used also, here the specific rotation will vary. So hence we have to mention the conditions of specific rotations like this. For example, so this alpha, actually it should be designated like this. This alpha should be designated like this by mentioning under what conditions this specific rotation is calculated. We have to mention the conditions like the temperature, okay, the temperature and the wavelength of the light used also we have to mention along with the specific rotation value. Okay, so like this the specific rotation can be known. Okay, right, so that means polarimeter will calculate the optical activity by measuring the theta, that means observed that angle of rotation, the length of the tube, okay, then the concentration of the solution taken. Okay, so here it depends on, that means the amount of rotation depends on observed rotation, length of the tube, concentration, temperature, pressure and the wavelength of the light used. Okay, right. Next, see, for pure compound, if you do not take solution, if you take only pure the compound directly, so then we have to use this formula. So what simply they specify the temperature and wavelengths. So don't get into panic by looking into this formula like this. Okay, so it will be equal to theta by L into D, instead of L into C we will use L into D when pure substance is taken, not in the form of solution. So when the substance is taken in the form of solution, we have to use this one, we have to mention the concentration. Here we have to mention the density. D stands for density of the pure compound. So here density, D stands for density and C stands for concentration. Okay, length of the tube and theta means here observed rotation. So like this, so this formula can help us to know the specific rotation. See, these two substances, suppose if I take this substance, let us assume it rotates the plane polarized light by an angle theta towards the right side, let us assume. Then this one is the enantiomeric pair of this compound. So its enantiomeric pair, this one, will also rotate the plane polarized light, but in opposite direction. That means towards the left side, that means anti-clockwise. But here the rotation made by this compound theta will be exactly equal to the rotation made by the other enantiomeric pair theta only. So the angle of rotation made by both the enantiomer pairs will be exactly equal but opposite in direction. The rotation, plane polarized light, it is rotated by these enantiomer pairs equally but in opposite direction. Okay, so one is said to be dextrorotatory compound and another one is said to be levorotatory compound. If a compound is non-superimposable on its mirror image, then it is said to be optically active. If you take any compound, if it is non-superimposable on its mirror image, then that compound is said to be optically active. So this is also optically active, because this if you take this compound and if you lift this compound and keep if you lift this one and keep on this enantiomer, then these two will not superimpose, because this OH will it will come over the hydrogen, and this hydrogen will come over the OH. So that means they are not superimposable. Okay. So that means if a compound is non-superimposable on its mirror image, then that compound is said to be having optical activity. So this is most important thing. Suppose if a compound is superimposable, if a compound is superimposable, it is able to superimposable on its mirror image, then it is optically inactive. Optically inactive. So I'm removing it off. For example, there is a compound like this. Let us assume. So these two are mirror images. So if this compound is it appears like this in the mirror. So this compound will appear like this in the mirror, and this compound will appear like this in the mirror. So now these two are said to be mirror images of each other. If I lift this compound and keep it on this, what happens? Exactly this will coincide with this compound. Then these two are said to be superimposable. They are said to be superimposable. They are said to be superimposable mirror images. They are said to be superimposable mirror images. So when they are superimposable mirror images, then they are not optically active. They are optically inactive. When do the compounds are optically inactive? Because when they superimposable, when the compound is superimposable on its mirror image, then those compounds are said to be optically inactive. If a compound is superimposable on its mirror image, so here this compound is able to form it is able to superimpose on its mirror image, then this compound is said to be optically inactive. Optically inactive, it is also called as achiral compound. Achiral compound. Achiral compound. Achiral compound. So these two are mirror images, but they are superimposable. Hence this is said to be optically inactive. That means optically inactive means, suppose if I keep this compound here in this substance, and if I keep this compound in this glass tube and send a plane polarized light into this substance, what happens? That plane polarized light will come out in without any deflection, without undergoing any rotation. Okay, such compounds are said to be optically inactive compounds. Okay, cannot. So that means it cannot rotate plane polarized light. Okay, so hence such compounds are said to be achiral compounds. Achiral compounds. We will learn about the other points in the next video.